Dummy Switch Pod. The boys
Yes,
are back.
sir.
How
Yes,
are you,
sir.
Chris?
Oh, I'm feeling toothless, like the Sharks this past weekend, but okay. I'm
That game.
good.
No, we're not even gonna go into that game. What we are gonna talk about is there's two teams gearing up for a final. It's the Sharks and it's the Lions. We still in with a shout. We still in with a shout.
Yeah, most def, Curtis, most def, man.
Yeah, the Dan Carters of podcasting here to give you those rugby takes, those hot rugby takes. I
hmm
think let's start with news of the week. We're 1 month away from the first Bok test versus Wales, and Damien Willemse, he's out for an extended period. It goes to the growing list of guys that are out. I can't even keep tabs. And the thing is, there's going to be unavailabilities as well. You're going to get Stormers
Yeah,
players that aren't there. You're going to get Bulls players that aren't there that may be involved in the deeper rounds of the URC knockout stages. So essentially, Willemse, we know, definitely out. I've seen Faf is also, I think, on the sidelines. Bulls
yeah.
players out, Stormers players out. It's going to open room for a lot of guys. But let's start with Damien Willemse. Who would you replace him with?
Hmm. Look, it's a tough one considering, when you mentioned that even when you think about the fact that some of the Bulls guys may be out, you know,
Yeah.
I think it's opportunities for guys, I think between Fassi and Horn, maybe they might get a look in. I think Fassi maybe a bit closer, because he's been there, so he might get a revisit there. That's where my hat is tilting, right now, in terms of who can step up, But look, it's opportunities for whoever's on the fringes,
Yeah.
whoever's been playing well. So we might see some surprises, but yeah, their feeling is, I think Fassi, it's gonna be his time, to bring the church.
Yeah, I personally, for me, the player that's most like Damian Willemse is Sasha Feinberg and Ngumezulu, but he's involved with the Stormers as well. So,
Yes.
in terms of that playing 12 and being able to play 15, that's the only
Mm.
guy that, comes to mind when I think of sort of a direct replacement.
Like for like, almost. Yeah, I
Yeah,
get you.
yeah. So if we gotta move it around, for me, I'm thinking even might even get an Edwin van der Merwe playing wing and someone else playing fullback. Like I'm
Can
thinking,
happen.
for me, Horn, I would say he's definitely in with a shout. Fussy as
Mm.
well. I think those two. Alternatively, I think they might just rejig the back line and we might see, Hamba playing 10, someone moving to fullback. But I have to say
Yeah,
front runner, I think is Fussy.
yeah, I think so. I think so. And like I say, man, there's opportunities. I know. We all loving Nohamba at 10 and his magic. So it can happen. Like you say, it can be a rejig. I think there's lots of possibilities, opportunities for guys to give the coaches something else and something different to think about.
Yeah.
So it's going to be exciting. Unfortunate for
Tyron
Willemse,
Green as well. That's one
Yeah,
that would actually be a perfect replacement, I think.
yeah, that's an opportunity, even for him, so we can snap him up away from
Yeah.
the clutches of those other guys, those other guys. We all know who they are. So that can be, that's why I say there can be lots of surprises, So it's
Yeah.
it's going to be interesting to see who comes in, and also with the unavailabilities moving away from Willem, so it's opportunities for a whole host of guys that may have been on the fringes. Others maybe will get another chance to say, okay,
Yeah.
try again. So it's going to be an exciting one, from an opportunity perspective. That Wales test almost feels like it's 2018 again with that one-off
Yeah.
Wales test. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how that develops, because we're getting close. I
Yeah.
mean, June is a few weeks away, so it's here.
And the thing that springs into my mind is how many injuries and unavailabilities there were that broke the last guy sort of in, which was Moody.
Mm,
When you look, I think
mm,
everyone was out and they had to call him up from club
yeah.
level. So you think about how he went to the World Cup from that place. So it's a perfect opportunity for someone to kickstart their Springbok career or someone to get pulled back in.
Yeah, definitely so. Definitely so. So it'll be good to keep an eye on that and see how it develops.
But yeah, let's get to the real deal now. The Lions. I think we'll circle back to the other games. I just have to say,
Yeah,
I last week I did think they were in with the chance of the win. I thought
called it.
this one, yeah, I thought this one they'd be able to pull it off.
Mm.
Although when I was a few drinks deep and there were a few yellow cards in, I wasn't as optimistic, but pulled it out the fire in the end.
The Lions said, no, no, no. You hold my beer.
Yeah,
And as a matter of fact, actually, we'll take one guy off, and then we can show you what's what.
yeah,
It just, this team never ceases to amaze, to be honest. It was just it was good to be at that game, to see it unfold,
mm,
because there was almost that in the beginning, it just Glasgow looked like they were the ones doing most of the playing, and the Lions, yes, were trying, just wasn't working out for them. And then, Chituka comes off, then the atmosphere is, people are a bit edgy, because, okay, now we
yeah,
see one of the big guys that has been performing, you he comes off, and then the next guy that comes in, he gets carded, and before you know it, it's a red. And just that momentum Glasgow had, all of it. And it just seemed like Glasgow just wanted to, they were looking to sort of play the Lions off the park in the first half, to try and build up a buffer and have the Lions chasing the game. And you have to credit the Lions defense, in that game, and how they stuck in it and look and kept them out and minimized the damage, really. And
yeah.
man,
They were leading at halftime. That's the thing.
yeah.
Where I even had to do a double take at the score to say, like, I thought we were behind. Lions were winning in the game.
Yeah, and
So
look, the sorry, and look, and considering that they left, I think Lombard left 6 points out there.
yeah,
Not the easiest of kicks. Yes, I'll give him that. Except maybe for the second one, but the first one wasn't that as simple. But exactly that. They hung in there, they stuck in it, and like you say, leading at half time, even though it didn't feel as secure, because you know the team that Glasgow is and how they like to play, and we saw glimpses of that and how
yeah.
they can also play from deep as well, and try counter attack teams. But guys, just they just there's just too much pride. There's just too much pride.
Yeah, and I mean, Cash as well. You see Nohamba on the bench going with Lombard. I was even thinking, guys, we're trying to make that final push for playoffs here,
Mm,
and you're starting Lombard, who hasn't started. You've got Lowe that dropped out just before the game.
yeah,
It's tense times. It's tense times, but it seemed
disrupt.
like you said, they held them for long enough to get someone like Nohamba on. He comes in,
Yeah,
counteracts, gets the
yeah.
ball loose. The ball goes to Edwin van der Merwe. We see that magic. And I mean, Edwin van der Merwe, for the largest part of the season, he's been playing the same way in terms of his form's never dipped. He just not
No.
necessarily had the opportunities to score, to get those
Yes.
tries. So you can
Yeah.
see that he's itching when he does get into space. So I'm happy
Mm.
for him that he did get this try and he's back on that Bok radar in terms of fans, speculation.
Yeah.
But for me, he's consistent all the time. It's just whether the ball gets to him or not.
Yeah. 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 No. True. And I think even guys like Albert Cronje,
Yeah,
I think they're 13, and then look, I know I've certainly bagged him a few times, but Jordan Hendricks, I think in this game as well, his carries and his intent on attack, and even the
yeah,
physicality on defense, when Al Tupelotu, You know, the guy looks Mexican, man, but L2 Pelot, he handled, he handled, and how they're handling that Glasgow backline, you know, and again the impact of Nohamba. I think I think every Lions fan or every person that was watching that game sort of was expecting an impact from the Lions
Yeah,
bench, you know, when they came on, and you saw that, you know, and the fight. I think that's one thing that you have to credit them. It's just a fight for them to just stay in that game, and then when the opportunities, you know, because first off, I don't think they used the ball too well, especially when they did make those entries. You know, the few
yeah,
lineouts not going their way, you know, them not looking after the ball, giving away silly penalties. But then once they got their opportunities and once they took the opportunities, you know, it is just good to see, and it was quick fire. You know, it was quick fire and
yeah.
just really blew Glasgow out the game. You know.
And they were anticipating how desperate Glasgow were getting
Mm,
towards the end of the game. It's almost like they played
mm,
into their hands. They're like,
yeah,
the best example of it is the intercept, because they know these guys are behind. They're gonna force it. They're trying to get the win. They're trying to get the bonus point win, and we can just kill them off.
yeah.
You know, you look at all of those tries. It's counter attack, and it's
Yeah,
that anticipation of that moment when to strike turnover ball, and then we just gonna go. JC Pretorius again,
yeah.
man of the match. You know, he
Yeah,
big
Jason
impact on the
Pretorius is
game.
big impact on the game. You know, work rate is there. You know, I think all of the guys, they're playing a man down for most part of the game.
Yeah,
But you know, talking about that intercept, you know what I liked about that intercept, you know, is watching it from the stands. You know, is watching how Glasgow played. I think we have to commend Nohamba, because for me, he was in the game from minute one, because I think he got that intercept as a result of simply watching how Glasgow were looking to attack. And if you see how he adjusted even his positioning at defense, he was about to shoot up, he adjusted a bit, held back, then he pounced, you know, on that pass. For me, that was what Glasgow were playing, that same pattern the whole game, and he was just, you know, he was just in it, you know, and read it well enough, you know, and got his timing right. And for me, it's a result of him simply, yes, he was on the bench, but that's the sort of impact you want from the guys off the bench, to be watching the game, seeing what's happening, and identifying how they can capitalize on opportunities, which he did that with, with the plum. And wow, you know, even outside of that, just the general play, you could see that spark coming in from the
yeah,
Lions, you know, with him being there. And yeah, you go back to that counter rock. My goodness, you know, nobody expected that, you know, but it shows the character of the Lions team, because they were under pressure, you know, and they turned that pressure moment into a punch, you know, to get themselves, you know, well and truly, you know, into the game, and ahead of Glasgow. So, geez, it's really it's really hard. We've been calling it all season that, you know, there's something about this Lions team, and we're seeing that, you know. So credit to them, and honestly, it was,
yeah.
yeah, what a game, what a game.
Yep. Only unfortunate thing, Bulls didn't do us a favor with Benetton getting the bonus point. Sharks as well, losing to Benetton didn't do us any favors. So
Yeah,
yeah, the hard way around. Even though we've done a few teams a few favors there with them
yeah.
getting to the end of it.
No, dude, no. We'll get into the Bulls game, but it just seems like Loftus now, you know, it's the land of opportunities, where we're giving away bonus points. You know, we're giving away, you know, extra points, you know, for surviving altitude. It seems, you know, not impressed by that, because I think they did the Lions dirty there, man. Come on, you know, just defend.
Yeah. Yeah, let's talk Sharks. I don't even want to get into the game this
No,
weekend. I don't even want to get into the game. I'm more concerned about Friday night
yeah,
lights against Gloucester at Spurs Stadium. World-class facilities. It's going to be some world-class rugby. Unfortunately, is
believe so.
out. Hooker, he's coming back in,
Mm-hmm.
and Hendricks, obviously, I think he's still injured. He won't make it. But I mean, it's been like that for a while now.
Yeah.
I'm obviously we're gonna back the Sharks. But
Yeah.
even with being out, I don't think it's too much of a disruption.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree with you. That was my first feeling there. I don't think it's gonna hit them that much. Almost the quality, definitely. It's a final. It's a big
Yeah,
game. Gloucester have their strengths. Where you ideally you'd prefer all your big hitters to be out there, but I think they'll be okay. From that perspective. But without a doubt, it's going to take. I think it's going to be they're going to have to play the game of their lives. This has to be the best game that the Sharks will put together this whole season.
yeah,
It's one shot that they have. It's the only thing that they're playing for outside of pride. So yeah, that's what it is for me in terms of the Sharks. It's one shot. If they don't
yeah.
do this, their whole season is a bust. Because nobody remembers the semi-finalists, to be honest, especially club competitions.
Yeah, from my side, I just think the starters just have to stay on for as long
Yeah,
as possible. There's gonna
yeah,
be no bringing on, I don't want to see Cameron Wright on. I don't want to see
mm,
Mbonambi go off.
yeah,
Mkunu maybe he's improved at scrum time, but like I'm really trying to see those starters go deep into 70 minutes, and that's maybe
yeah,
when you can start making changes. There's no bomb squad here. Those guys are going to have to
yeah,
fight it out from
yeah.
the first whistle up until around about 70.
It's got to be a monumental effort. All hands on deck. And really, like you said, the starters, they got to run them as long as possible, and they have to try at least build up a decent enough lead. But we all know it's a final. It's a different type of game.
Yeah.
It's going to be tense. It's going to be close. There'll be opportunities, and I just hope that they'll be switched on enough to take them. Because the starting Sharks team has got that quality to. They've got the quality. They have
The
the
quality is
potential.
there. The quality is there. My thing is, Fasi, don't lose your head. Don't,
Yes.
yellow
Don't
card
get drawn into
situations.
things that
Yes.
unnecessary.
Forwards, don't, just don't get caught out with silly things. We
Mm,
look how
mm,
Claremont attacked that 13 channel. It's also about being pragmatic and identifying that and saying, okay, we need to cut this out early. Not
yes.
like the last game where we allowing these things to go, where we allowing,
Yeah.
I think back to that game where Mapimpi was calling the shift for, he's calling the shift for like 30 seconds before Claremont could score the try.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and and they didn't shift. You can't do that in
Mm,
finals rugby. So
no.
it's just about being pragmatic and being switched on. And I think if they keep their heads, and we'll see a new level for some of these players. We're going to see
Yeah.
a new level.
There
Finals
has to
rugby.
be.
There's guys that have
There,
been there, but there's also guys that Masuku we now going to see. We've seen,
yeah.
but we're now going to see on that big
This is the
stage.
one. No, for sure. For
We're going to
sure.
see on that. And I'm not saying that so that he's not going to do it. I think he's going to do it.
No.
I think Pepsi is going to do
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
I think Werner Kok, it doesn't matter. If Werner Kok can play in the backyard or he can play in the fun, he's gonna play the same way.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah. Yeah.
I think they'll step up.
It's there for them quarters. I'm with you on that one. I back them 100%. It's just they just gotta get their mindset right, and they gotta remember that they must never die. And they
Yeah,
have to discipline. We've seen how discipline has cost them. In the past few weeks. So it's something that they need to also sharpen up on. There's a lot of things that they need to make sure that they get right within themselves. It's not worry about lost. They take care of themselves, take care of their game, and like you say, step it up. Which we believe that they'll do. They'll bring that silverware home. It's coming home. That's what it is. But just a quick one on the Sharks. I know we're not going to talk about the last game, but I just want to reiterate this. The gap between the Sharks' best and
yeah,
the rest it's too much to ignore that gap.
yeah,
It's really it's too much. And it's not all of the rest. because there's some guys when they plug them in with the starters, you can see the levels are there. It's just everybody else, and I don't know if it's the balance that they haven't figured out who's strong enough. Where you got guys that have been playing wing, now they're playing center. There's just, yes, we understand, because the big focus has been the final, but still, at home, that sort of performance, it's toothless, and yeah, they must do something about the rest. Yeah,
Yeah.
but I'll rest my case.
Yeah, the Curry Cup will address that. So, but yeah, let's move on. I think let's touch on the Bulls game. For me,
Yeah,
Bulls game, there's nothing really more to say than what I said last week, is that they have these soft patches, and it's a characteristic of this team. And you can't even say that they were tired, in the
nah.
previous game, last 20. That's
Mm-mm.
why
Mm-mm.
the team came back, because in this game, the same thing happened where they have
Yeah,
soft patches and they switched off for 10 minutes on either side of halftime.
yeah.
So is it now that they're tired around halftime? Or is it that, because that one they were like, no, they're tired at the end of the game. So it's now they're tired
No,
around halftime, or what is
no,
it? Because
no.
how do you Benetton within 10 points? I think
Yeah,
around the 47th minute, Benetton
yeah,
were within
yeah.
striking distance. 10
Yes,
points is the two scores, whatever. That's striking distance. That's
yeah.
and
Close.
there's no
I
way.
mean,
There's no. I think the Bulls had scored 5 tries by then.
yes. You understand? So there, look, I know last week I was a bit more, apprehensive about, agreeing with you. I was saying, no, they'll get it right, they'll fix it. But they don't look like a team that, if they get into a final or a knockout game, you know, and they've got a lead, and that they'll close it out. They won't be able to close it out with that
Yeah.
defense or those lapses that they have, because you can't allow teams to come to your house and look. Once we understand, but now it's 2 games. It's a pattern, and
It's
it's
not
actually not
even
even more
two.
than two
It's not
games.
even two,
Yeah.
because I've having watched the Bulls this whole season. There's
Mm.
times in the Stormers game, they still it happened, but they were able to kickstart themselves again and go.
Yes.
It's happened against Munster. It was even worse because a lot of
Yeah.
the more experienced guys were out. But it's like the same thing keeps on happening. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
the same thing keeps on happening, and it seems like it's worse when Marcel Coetzee is not there. So I think that also makes it a
Interesting.
bit worse. But even when he
Interesting.
was there, it was happening.
It is still happening.
Coulson was there now. All the big name guys were playing. Aronso was having the game. The set piece is going well,
Oh,
especially the line out. If you look at a lot of the tries, they were from set piece, either their set piece or Benetton's, where they capitalize, hit wide. They punch they hit it up, and then they're excellent at finding those gaps to make it through.
yeah. Look, the attack, there's nothing wrong with the attack.
Yeah,
This is good. It's, good to see that attack, especially, when the execution is at the levels that they should be. For me, it's just this thing of, you're at home and you're giving away bonus points,
yeah,
as if, because I can tell you now, when those teams, when they leave there, if you leave Loftus with a bonus point, or two, you still feel like, okay, you got something out of it, and
yeah,
and for me, that's not a championship sort of quality. That's not a championship sort of team where you're allowing guys to get that close, especially after the start that they had in that first half. It's a really a big concern, and time is running out for them to fix that,
yeah,
because it's concerning, man. You can't have that. You won't win trophies like that. No, I'm sorry, but if it was, away from home, yeah, we can understand. Yes, this, they're fighting for pride. The home team and whatnot. But no, this is in your own backyard.
yeah.
You know what I mean? So Yes, and that's why I say they did the Lions dirty, because when you look at some of you call soft moments, and it's just
And
why,
that's also
why?
my thing, is that these things is not like, yes, I don't expect Benetton to score zero. I don't expect Warriors to go there and score zero, but at
Yeah,
least make it so that it's an undeniable try, where it's this excellent piece of attack. It's this
yes.
it's this thing that happens where the like we couldn't do anything about it. We did our best,
Yeah.
but it's not. It's just not.
Mm-mm. And that's what's the most worrying about it. So, Coach Jake must do something there. I don't know what needs to happen, because it's hard to put your finger on it. Is it a
Yeah,
mental sort of
I think it's
thing?
mental.
It has to be, because we spoke about it. It has to be, man. But you can't tolerate that, man. You got, and I'm even more upset because they did the Lions dirty, man. Especially the Lions, the way that they stepped up, for that
Yeah,
Glasgow game. And it's like, come on, Bulls. When you look at the log now, it's they on that bonus point is what's keeping the Lions out of the top 8. You know, they didn't do it for South Africa this weekend. They did it for themselves. They did it for themselves, and that's not, yeah, man. But look, but on a serious note, it is concerning, because it's happened too many times this whole season. It
one
really,
more thing,
yeah.
one more thing on the Bulls. David Creel, a lot of box shouts. I'll be honest, solid player for me. I've never really been a believer. I think he's a solid player. He's a good player. There's just something I don't like. There's just something I don't know whether it's I don't support the Bulls or I don't know. There's just something that don't. And if I okay, then I step back. I step back, and I'm objective, and I say, you know what? The
Yeah,
form is there. The play is
yeah,
there. Maybe
yeah.
he deserves it, but he just doesn't. Maybe it's that thing where people also look like Elton Young. They look at Yankees and they're like, no, this is not a fly half. I'm also looking at
Yeah,
him like, oh, this is not a center. I don't know what it is.
I, I know what you're saying. I know what you're saying. It's exactly what I was going through as well, where I was like, okay, I hear, and I can see, the case for him and his versatility. Maybe his versatility is
Yeah.
what will give him, a sort of an inside lane, or give him a look in for sure. Look, does he deserve a look in? Yeah, I think he deserves a look in, so they can just further inspect the product and see, you know, what's what. But yeah, I know what you say.
I don't know, man. I don't know. Even
But I know
Richard
what you're
Creel,
saying.
when Richard Creel, even when he took Rams's place, I was like, no, no, man, no. But the guy's
Yeah,
he's in form. He's in form. You can't. So
yeah,
I don't know. I guess
yeah. Look,
I'll give him the benefit of the doubt.
I think look, the least that he deserves is that benefit of the doubt,
Yeah.
because at the end of the day, the proof of the pudding is in the eating. He is looking good. Let's not lie, but there's again, there's still a lot to happen, and a lot of judgment out there first before we can be totally convinced.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, you won't be convinced until you see.
Yeah.
So
David Creel, maybe shave your head, wrap some tape on your forearm, like Spies or Jakub Pretorius, just change something, change maybe a tattoo, maybe I don't know if it's an optics thing,
but he's a
but
good player though. He's a good player though.
yeah, good player.
He- He's a good player
I
though.
just,
It's just, look, there's a lot of good players. We're just not sure about whether there's that next level, you
yeah,
know. I
yeah.
think that's what it is. you know.
Moving on, let's go Stormers. Stormers, this one I have to say largely followed the trend, I think, of the last game. I think
Mm-hmm.
important to get points on tour. They
Mm.
put in those tight performances and they had the quality where it mattered. I will say though, Dweba, we criticize a lot when the lineouts don't go right. This game they went right. I felt
Yeah.
like they kept it tight enough and they countered well enough. I mean, there was that early forward pass where they got that try.
Yeah.
And when you look at the other try, it's almost the same thing where guys are just running those hard cutting lines, and it's those three. It's Willemse, it's Kalant, and it's Libok.
Land.
And
Yeah.
when you get those guys, that interplay, it's special. It's special to
Yeah.
see the way that
Yeah.
they cut up these teams. And Libok also, I think it's underrated performances that he's putting in, and he's getting the job done. And I think very, very these performances, they've got the job done in a way where I'm more impressed with this than what I am with the Bulls in the last two games.
Thank you. My take was it's similar to yours. My take is they're starting to look like they're getting their act together at the right time.
Yeah.
Where look, two tough games away from home, and especially the one against Connacht. Look, they created opportunities, definitely, the forward passes and things like that. So it's just execution there that they can't fix, But for me, it's coming together at the right time for them, and the pragmatic approach that they have. It's really more sensible in terms of they know all the weapons that they have, and they're saying, look, we'll take what's available, we'll take the points that are available, but we also know that we've got strikes out wide, and for me that's maturity, and it's understanding where they are, the situation of the league at the moment in terms of positions, log positions, and I'll dare to say that I think they continue in this trajectory. Injuries staying away a little bit, but even though the Stormers, they've had injuries before, they always the next guys that come in, they also on the same level, So I'll say this: they look like a team that can get into the final again for me. With the way that I know it's still a long way to go, but with the way that they're getting the job done. And like you say, Manny Libok's performance is underrated. Yeah, he's not doing all the flashy things, but the fact of the matter is doing the things that matter, and he's doing them well. And that's all that you need from your quality, from a quality team, and they got the result. One way they had to work for it, yes, and we did think that it was going to be tough. It was tough, and the scoreline does suggest that, so more rightly so, and I agree with you, more impressive than the Bulls' 9 tries. More impressive.
Only other thing I have to say, again, I'm gonna keep on saying it like how I've been saying. Ruiz is putting in these performances week after week after week for the Stormers, where he is putting in hard meters. He's getting goal
Mr.
forward.
Stormers right now.
Yes, and I don't somehow. You need to put that into the box, because he can't be the standout player in every single match and you don't find a way to integrate him. I understand, loose forwards, you have to find the competition is there, and yes, there's structures, and maybe he doesn't play the same way that the box want to play and this and that, but you can't have this kind of impact on every single Stormers game and not at least try and utilize this at a higher level.
Yes. Yeah, and especially because he's been there, he's had a taste. So I think he'll get another look in, definitely. Well, so they're going to be involved. So maybe not Wales, but, the July test is he has to be a fixture, if he stays injury free. And I fully agree with your sentiment there, and it's good to see, with the Stormers, they are a top team. You can't deny that. Murat, the way he's matured as well, from when he came onto the scene, and
the lineouts are better because of him also.
Yeah, you can just see that he's looking like he's the, he is the leader and they following him, so there's a lot to like about how the Storm, especially the last 2 weekends, how they put together those wins and got those results away from home. That for me, I think that makes it even more impressive, is that it's away from home. It's not this Cape Town Stadium thing where we know when they're at Cape Town Stadium, to catch them, we catch them on you having a bad day there, they'll put you away big time, so yeah, you have to give them give them the props.
Final comments.
Look, all I'm gonna say is this: is the Sharks, they have to be pragmatic and just get the freaking win, man. You know, that's all. Whether it's 1 point, half a point, you know, just this is the last thing that they've got to play for. That's my final comments. It's the only thing that they've got.
Sharks, let's do it, guys. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening, guys.